Here we are at midweek. The What It Takes Radio Company brings you the How to Be a World Class Jesus Entrepreneur. That's what we're asking. How can we do that? And today, could it be the reason you're here is not the real reason that you are here? I had the opportunity to say that to a young person one time, and there's a story that goes along with that whole conversation. Greetings and welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, friends and a few foes, perhaps. This is Stan, the radio man, Stan Hustad, and this is on a Wednesday, another edition of this emerging organization, mission, commission, project. I think it could make a great deal of difference in the world. It is the Christian Entrepreneur Network, and we're going to try and help people be world-class Jesus entrepreneurs. That's right, very simple. A Jesus entrepreneur. Jesus was an entrepreneur, and we can make a case for that. A mile long and a mile deep and a mile high, for sure. And perhaps those of us who are in the marketplace of life right now, we need to understand that if we want to do it well, maybe it would be good for us to follow the master entrepreneur, perhaps to do a little bit of an imitation of him. And of course, we mentioned the classic book, The Imitation of Christ. We are to be imitators, not necessarily innovators. He pretty well took care of the innovation, but we are then called to innovate in how we communicate. Obviously, if Jesus were doing his work today, he'd probably have a podcast. Or maybe not. He'd be on the radio. I wonder about that. Television? Probably not. Those are all kinds of good questions that we need to ask when we're saying, how can we be like Jesus when we're not in the first century, in Palestine? We're in a worldwide marketplace and we're trying to make a living, build a life, and do the things that will take care of us, our family, our responsibilities, the things that God has given us to do. And that's the question I'm usually asking when I do some coaching. What do you think God wants you to do right now? Well, I've done this. I said, okay, you've done that. St. Paul, the other entrepreneur, said, forget what is behind. Look ahead. And perhaps the forgetting what is behind is maybe something that you regret. It was bad. Could be. Maybe it was something that was really good and you really had a great time doing it and it went well and it seems like something that maybe you should continue to do. And maybe God says, well, don't do that anymore. Been there, you've done that, do something else. What I'm discovering more and more is something that my performance coaching taught me, as well as my broadcasting and speaking and talking with people around the world, is those who have a deeper sense of a purpose in life, those of us who are followers of any spiritual life at all, and particularly those of us in the Christian tradition where we have a real person, not just a philosophical belief or some mythological or historical character, but a real person who lives today and whose spirit is present to us all. What should we do now? Recently, I discovered that the issue of that has caused one Christian writer to say, maybe what God wants us to do is to have a power vocation. And what is a power vocation? Well, that's a vocation where you don't just have to do what you're told and do what you're supposed to do. You have the ability to do very new and creative things. Like one of my friends spent a whole lifetime working in the automobile industry. and it paid him well. And he went to work every day, and he enjoyed the work for the most part. But he said, I never made a single decision in my life except to go to work and do the work and then go home. All of my decisions were made in other areas of life. Now, what if you are in a vocation where you actually have the freedom to do some unique and different and important things, that you literally could change your vocation and call? Well, that's oftentimes what we are about, is trying to discover just exactly, perhaps, what could God be calling us to now? And I just want to share something that happened to me accidentally. I gave a little presentation, just a stand-up presentation at a meeting I was at today. And I was sharing, I said, I've been in the broadcasting business for over 40 some years. And when you're doing that, sometimes you say something accidentally. And I said, I've said a lot of things accidentally. Some of them were not very good. Some of them I really didn't intend to say, but they came out that way. Sometimes I said something, and when I was done, I said, where did that come from? That really didn't come from me. That was too good to come from me. That's maybe, did you use me? Well, here was the story. Many years ago, I was working with our international missionary radio group, and I was in the position of a program director. And every summer, we would have a group of college students who would come down. Many of them were from Christian colleges, but not always, but they were all Christian young men and women. And they would be obviously coming in, and sometimes they would be there to fill in certain roles for other missionaries who were on furlough or were off for the summer, back raising support or something like that. But we had a variety of things they could do. And one of them had a particularly good responsibility, is that because she had some ability, we actually allowed her to do some of the on-air announcements. And one time she really messed it up, and she felt terrible. And then, of course, she got a note that Stan would like to see you. Well, of course, she's scared, and she comes in, and I invited her to sit down, and she said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I said, hold on a minute. I'm not going to chew you out. I'm not mad at you. You didn't do something bad. You made a mistake. Okay. And I said, now let me tell you something. I've been in radio a good many years. Let me tell you, that wasn't the first time that mistake was made by somebody in radio. And it wasn't the last time it's going to be made. That happens all the time. We make mistakes. And we try to correct them if we can, and we try to make up for them if it's possible. But in many cases, we simply announce the fact, I'm sorry, I didn't know. As George Mueller said many years ago, he said, saying, I don't know and I'm sorry are two of the most powerful expressions in the language we have, in any language. And then we were beginning to talk, and then she was beginning to express some of the things that was happening in her life. And then I just paused and didn't know what to say. But all of a sudden, this came out of me. I said, the fact is that the reason you're here is not the real reason you're here. And she looked at me. Oh, I looked at myself and said, did I say that? Well, I did. And what I have discovered is that for most of us, that is probably true, particularly if we're living in God's Spirit. The reason you're here wherever you are, is probably not the real reason God has you here or there. I think it's very possible that that could be true for many of us. And so that causes us to always do the best we can, but it also means that we kind of embrace the adventure of saying, you know, it's a gift to be simple. It's a gift to be free. It's a gift to come down where you want to be. And when you come down in the place just right, it'll be in the valley of love and delight, like the old Shaker tune. But it could be that the place just right, the reason you're here, is not the real reason you're here. And part of life is to live in that tension and to live in that paradox and to live in that forgiveness, to keep us wide awake spiritually, emotionally, and professionally, saying, right now, I wonder if there could be some other, bigger, better, maybe even more painful, but growth lessons for me. Could it be that where you are right now, that where I am right now, the difficulties that I'm going through right now, the obstacles that are in my place right now, the opportunities that supposedly are before me now, the reason I'm here right now may not be the real reason that I'm here. I'm done for the day. But I think that when we become Jesus entrepreneurs, which does give us that sense of a power vocation, we can make our own choices, where we're going to work, who we're going to work for, what kind of business we're going to be. And when we have that kind of power, let's always remember that what we have, what we're doing, and the things that we seemingly are accomplishing, that's the reason we're here. But maybe there's another, maybe different, maybe totally different, that we are here. Just let that sit on your head for a while, maybe stir your mind, maybe touch your heart. If that was helpful to you, I know the young woman thanked me, gave me a big hug and said, "Thank you, Stan. I have to remember that." And maybe that's something you have to remember too. And maybe it's something that I should remind myself again here too. All the best and blessings. We'll be back as we seek to be where we are meant to be and to do it in a way that makes Jesus, the entrepreneur, smile and say, "Yeah, you got that one right. I'm pleased." Till next time, I'm Stan, the radio man, saying best and blessings. Bye for now.